of any engines that have high attack off the top of my head right now, but it is a potential interruption, so you play one of these. Necrofusion, like I said, a lot of your fusion materials gets banished and shuffled back, so Necrofusion doesn't really come up as much. Back to the front, you're dumping artifact sites with Branded Fusion. If you see back to the front in your hand as well, that's an instant side block, baby. Warning point, a lot of people were complaining about this because we didn't get Ice Dragon's Prison, but this is a very, very good card. No Material Fiendish Chain, also not once per turn, very, very good cards. Oh, we have 3 of these in the main deck for sure. There can be only one. You have a lot of dragons, so, side deck at least. D-Barrier, side deck, Waken the Dragon. If you want to be funny, you can side deck this, sure, but I don't think there's space in the deck for that. Then after that we have Titaniclad. This is sort of your beater. If you want to go in for the kill, you would probably summon Titaniclad. You don't really summon Regrand, although you can search for Mercurier if you dump it with the Mirror Jade Spring. You just don't really use whatsoever. You can search or summon the Springans kit. But yeah, this is probably like the least useful one in the deck. Albion, this is a beast. You dump this to add Branded Fusion or set the counter trap in phase, which is really good. Also, you just mainly go through this with your engine anyway. So yeah, Albion's a very good card. And you have all of the tokens as well. Very cool. Alright, let's get into the deck list. Here we go. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of exactly what you were waiting for. The deck list for 3 structure decks. Starting off with the main bread and butter of the deck, we have our triple Branded Fusion. This is absolutely mandatory, followed up by triple Springans Kit, which can search the Branded Fusion, triple Keeper of Dragon Magic, which discards 1 search as Branded Fusion, and 1 Gold Sarcophagus. So we essentially have 10 copies of Branded Fusion in the deck here. Like I said, you banish Mercurier to search for Kit, which then searches Branded Fusion. Everything relies on this card. If this gets ashed, then we're in a very, very bad position. We absolutely want this to resolve, and then we pop off from there. If it does get ashed, then hopefully we have some other interruptions in our hand that we can rely on to see us through, and then, maybe get to a second copy of Branded Fusion. Otherwise, maybe try and bait out an Ash so you can then just safely go into the Branded Fusion afterwards. But moving on from there, we have triple Pot of Extravagance to hopefully draw into one of these 10 cards. And we also, this is a bit of a weird one, we're playing triple Albion. And the reason we're playing 3 of this is because if you see it in hand, it's basically just an Upstart Goblin, which allows us to even more consistently get to one of these 10 cards. You can cut this down to 2 or 1 because, it's not essential, but we can capitalize on both of its effects. It's also a very good discard target because in grave it works as well. But yeah, triple Albion to max out on the draw power. Obviously, you can activate the draw effect in hand if you see it with Extravagance, so you would want to discard it and send it into the grave to then activate its grave effect. So that's what I went with for now. Moving on, we have 3 copies of Branded Lost. Very, very underrated card, but seeing this with access to Branded Fusion allows you to extend even further, get more interruptions, and also protects your fusion summoned monsters from getting negated on their summon effects. Also, if you're playing into a board going second and you activate Branded Lost, your Branded Fusion can't get its activation negated by something like a Borreload Savage. So, an additional little boon there. We also have triple Effect Veiler, obviously a generic interruption, triple Ghost Ogre, generic interruption, and triple Warning Point. These are our generic interruptions. If Branded Fusion gets negated by Ash Blossom, we can always fall back on these. And we're also playing triple back to the front with the 1 artifact Scythe. So typically we'll dump the Scythe with Branded Fusion, and if we see back to the front, we can side block our opponent. If we don't see back to the front, then, it's not a huge deal. We still go through our combo anyway. 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz. I know that seems a bit weird. I would like to play 3 because going second with the Dark Ruler and the 3 Fallen of Albaz allows you to break your opponent's board a bit easier. But I wasn't 100% sure on what to cut. You could maybe cut like an Albion for the 3rd Albaz. But going first, you don't really go through that many Fallen of Albaz. You shuffle it back into the deck with the Lubellion most of the time anyway. So maybe play 3 of this. For now, we're going for 2. We also have 2 copies of the Tri-Brigade Mercurier. This is a negate interruption. You can search off the Branded Lost, or you can search it off the dumping from the Mirror Jade. And it's also just our target for Gold Sarcophagus to search for the kit to get to the Branded Fusion. We also have 1 Called by the Grave. Obviously, Ash is the bane of our life on Branded Fusion. We want to negate that with the Called by. We're on
Trains. Trains that sense what isn't on the schedule. Trains that use the power of Dell AI and Intel to see hundreds of miles of tracks. Clearing the way so you arrive exactly where you belong.
One, branded retribution. We already have access to branded fusion. We're most likely going to search branded retribution off of the kit. Most of the time, we will have two fusion monsters on the board, Albion and Mirror Jade, so we're not losing board presence with the branded retribution. Shuffling back the Mirror Jade, we can shuffle back the Albion. We have counter trap for an effect that special summons a monster, does destroy as well. The Mercurier doesn't destroy the effect it negates, unfortunately. But this is good against things like Hockey Vibrex, for example, and when it's engraved, you can banish it to add back a branded spell or trap. Branded Fusion, for example, very, very nice. We also have one Judgment of the Branded. If Albion is in the grave, we're going to activate this to dump Judgment for cost, and this will place itself on the bottom of the deck. This just puts an additional interruption on the board. It's in the end phase. If this has been sent to the graveyard to activate the effect of Albaz, this is called Albaz while it's in the grave. You can set this, and that's your one-sided Raigeki, like I mentioned before. But you need to be aware that this isn't called Albaz in the hand. So if you're activating the Upstart effect from hand, you don't want to send this. Instead, you want to send the Branded Sword. This doesn't need to be sent to the grave by Fallen of Albaz specifically, so this is a target we send for Albion when it's in hand. And for example, let's say we activate Gold Sarcophagus to banish this, to search for this. We can then activate Albion to dump this, draw one, and then activate this to add this back to hand. A little bit confusing there. We will go into some combos, but yeah, having the one Branded Sword as a target for the Albion is quite nice. Gets you a little bit of recursion. Moving on to the extra deck, I think that's fairly simple. We have three of all the good ones: Mirror Jade, Lubellion, and Albion, and then we have two of the rest: Titaniclad, Sprint, and Brigand. We want to at least play all of them so that we have multiple options when it comes to fusing our opponent's board away with Fallen of Albaz. Otherwise, we don't mind shuffling like half of these away with Extravagance. But you know, you do get that odd situation where you banish all three Mirror Jade, which is kind of stinky, almost an instant loss actually. Get into the side deck, we have triple Radiant, triple Thunder King, and triple Dark Ruler No More. We're going second. Then we have triple There Can Be Only One, and triple D-Barrier. We're going first in situations where we're against decks that get fucked hard by these cards. Overall, very, very good deck. It can do a lot of things if Branded Fusion resolves. If you get ashed on the Branded Fusion, then, you know, cry about it. Alright, getting into some combos here. We're going to start basic and then work our way up to an example hand. So starting off with just Branded Fusion, we're going to activate that, dumping Artifact Sight and Fallen of Albaz, to fusion summon Albion the Branded Dragon. And I'll be honest, this card's not bad. We can banish materials from hand, field, or grave to fusion summon from our extra deck. We're going to banish the Albaz from grave and itself to summon Mirror Jade. That's one interruption off of a Branded Fusion by itself. Throwing a little discard into the mix here, starting off with Branded Fusion and any other card just to discard. We're going to start off with the Branded Fusion, and this time we're going to send a Dark Monster, Albion the Shrouded Dragon, and Fallen of Albaz to fusion summon Lubellion the Searing Dragon. Similar to Albion, Lubellion can also fusion summon when it's fusion summoned, but this time it requires a discard for cost, and we can shuffle back materials from field, grave, or banished. So we're going to shuffle back the Fallen of Albaz and the Lubellion itself to summon out our Mirror Jades. So that's one interruption so far, but Albion in our grave is going to get us to a second interruption. By activating its effect, we can dump a Branded Spell or Trap from the deck for cost to place it back on the bottom of the deck. Now, because its name is Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard, it has been sent to the graveyard for the effect of Fallen of Albaz, so in the end phase we can trigger it to set itself from the grave, giving us two interruptions, Mirror Jade and our one-sided Raigeki for 3,000 or higher attack monsters. Next up here we have Branded Fusion plus Branded Lost. So starting off, we're going to activate Branded Lost and then activate Branded Fusion. This time we're going to send Scythe and Fallen of Albaz again to summon out Albion the Branded Dragon. On resolution here, you can order your Chainlink and your opponent can't respond thanks to Branded Lost. So we're going to go Chainlink 1 Branded Lost to search, Chainlink 2 Albion to banish materials to fusion summon. Like before, we're going to banish the Albaz and the Albion to summon out the Mirror Jade, and then off the Branded Lost, we get a search for Tri-Brigade Mercurier, which is two interruptions, a monster negate and a quick effect banish. This one's a bit of a mean combo, but it's still kind of cool. So starting off with Gold Sarcophagus and Albion, we're going to activate Gold Sarcophagus, banish a copy of Tri-Brigade Mercurier, and that's going to trigger the Tri-Brigade Mercurier to get a search for Fallen of Albaz or any monster that mentions it. we're going to search for Spriggan's Kit. Now we're going to activate the hand effect of Albion the Shrouded Dragon, dumping a branded spell or trap for cost. We're going to dump the branded sword specifically here because we wouldn't be able to trigger Judgment if it's in hand. We place Albion to the bottom and get to draw a card. So like I said, it's basically just an Upstart Goblin. Normal summoning the Spriggan's Kit, we activate effect to search a branded spell or trap, searching for the branded fusion and placing our drawn card onto the bottom of the deck. We can then activate the branded fusion, dumping once again Fallen of Albaz and Artifact Scythe. We're always going to dump the Scythe, there's just no other good light monsters to dump. But yeah, that is once again going to fusion summon Albion the Branded Dragon, which is going to activate its on-summon fusion effect, banishing Fallen of Albaz and itself here to summon out our Mirror Jade. And then finally, we're going to activate the Branded Sword in Graveyard. We probably should have done this a lot earlier, but we're going to add back the Tri-Brigade Mercurier to hand. And that is 2 interruptions off of Albion plus Gold Sarcophagus. It's so cool what this deck can do, man. Now we're going to dive in at the deep end and show you what peak performance looks like. So looking at our starting hand here, we have Ghost Ogre, Effect Veiler, back to the front, Albion, and Extravagance. Nothing really playable there. We're going to start off with our Extravagance here. Banishing 6 to draw for 2. Hopefully we don't get ashed. We draw into a Branded Fusion plus a Branded Lost. There we go, that's perfect. Activating the Branded Lost here, we're going to follow that up with, of course, the Branded Fusion. And like the combo we literally just shown, we're going to dump a Fallen of Albaz and a Artifact Scythe to fusion summon Albion the Branded Dragon. Now in this particular situation, we're going to go Chainlink 1 Albion to fusion summon and Chainlink 2 Branded Lost. So the chain resolves backwards, we get a search before we actually banish our materials. We're going to search for a copy of Tri-Brigade Mercurier, which we can then banish from hand for the Albion effect to trigger its search. So banishing the little bird here, which is a dark monster, plus the Albaz, we're able to fusion summon into Lubalion the Searing Dragon. On resolution here, we have more chain links, so Chainlink 1 Lubalion to fusion summon and Chainlink 2 Tri-Brigade Mercurier to search. We do need to discard for cost on the Lubalion, so we discard the Albion here and search for Kit off of the Mercurier effect. Resolving the Lubalion, we shuffle itself back, plus the banished Fallen of Albaz, and that gets us our Mirror Jade onto the field. And from here we actually have quite a few options. Activating the Albion Engrave, we can dump a branded spell or trap to place it on the bottom of the deck. We could go either or here. We can dump the Judgment to set the Raigeki in the end phase, or we can dump Swords to add back the Tri-Brigade Mercurier to hand. I think the Monster Negate typically would be the better interruption, but it does depend on the matchup. So we're going to set back to the front here and go to the end phase, triggering the Judgment to set that from the graveyard. We have the Artifact Scythe in the graveyard for the back to the front, so we have a Scythe Lock, the Vanish on the Mirror Jade, Ghost Ogre, and Effect Veiler as well. We actually could have special summoned the kit and searched for the counter trap that would involve swapping out one of our hand traps. So like I said, plenty of options available, and that is 5 interruptions altogether. For 3 structure decks, that's pretty insane. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you. It can absolutely perform decently at the locals, and with that being said, you can expect a brand new from scratch style series with these structure decks on the channel. So if you want to see them in action and how we progress with them from week to week in the future, subscribe and like the video. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
I've been asked to slow down. Fireplace, do you know how? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Woo! Love that tune.
I feel like I could do anything.
When you look this good, you can.
I can.
Please welcome Rainbow! Open the little dark world! Destruction!
What's up, guys? Today I have the new Dark World Structure Deck, and I'm going to face this off against Paul's Cyber Strike Structure Deck. We have 3 copies of each deck, so we are running the very best version of this deck that you can get by buying just 3 copies of this package. It introduces new cards like the new upgraded Grappa, who's a fusion monster for the archetype, and Rainbow, just a very good searching and summoning card, just to help me beat down my opponent, as well as some new spell cards to streamline the strategy and make it work really well. Without further ado, guys, make sure you like, comment, and let us know what you're looking forward to out of this set, whether it be the monsters themselves or reprints. And let's get started.
All right, guys. Time is now to prove the Dark World structure is better and stronger than ever.
And I'm going to be playing the Cyber Dark structure deck, Cyber Strike, one that I'm very familiar with. So, get familiar with it.
And you're going to be ashamed when you use this.
I'm going to take first move. And I'm going to start by activating my Cyber Dark Realm. When it's activated, I get to add a Cyber Dark monster for my deck to my hand. So, I'm going to be using its effect. To add to my hand, I'll add Cyber Dark Cannon to my hand. And I'll go ahead and activate the effect of Cyber Dark Cannon. I can discard it from my hand and actually add a Cyber Dark monster for my deck to my hand.
That's my thing.
We'll see. The hand might be your thing, but I'm going to add Cyber Dark Horn. Now, I'm going to normal summon Cyber Dark Horn. When it's normal summon, I target a level 3 or lower dragon monster in my graveyard and equip it to my Cyber Dark Horn. I'll target Cyber Dark Cannon. Now, if you can destroy my battle, I can destroy Cyber Dark Cannon instead. And if you can send to the graveyard while it's playing, I'm going to draw one. Alright, I'm going to set one card face down and pass my turn to you.
Draw. I'm using Danger Tsuchinogo.
Okay, so how's that?
So, you get to pick a random card in my hand. I discard it. And if you don't get my Tsuchinogo, I get to summon it and draw a card.
Alright, well, let's see. I want to continue to pick this one.
This card is my Ceruli Ghoul. And it's discarded. That means I summon my Tsuchinogo and draw one card. But that's not all.
Oh, okay.
Because Ceruli's effect, when it's discarded, that kind of sucks because he'll special summon himself, but he only gets his effect if he's summoned by a Dark Realm.
Oh, so it's not a side deal.
Yeah.
Oh, in defense.
What?
Yay.
Loser.
Good, it's defense.
Dark World dealings. So we both draw a card and discard a card.
Alright, I draw. I'll discard type Fusion Poignant.
And I'll discard Snow Unlight Dark World.
Okay.
Snow will get her effect and she discards it. She will add one Dark World card from deck to hand.
Got it.
I'll get my